International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUL for life. We are IUL.
Good evening, I'm Maggie Forciero. In the news tonight, fish rod accused Shangala and Hatwekulipi bail application pushed to Monday. Twaya residents finally move into their new homes. COVID-19 jabs for children under review, says Shangula. Little by little poultry farm in desperate need of proper coops and feed. And Roundup, Business on One, Comments Corner, Sports and the weather. 6 of the fish rod accused, namely Saki Shangala, Pius Mwatelulo, James Hatwekulipi, Mike Ngipunya, Otniel Shirifonia, and Philippus Mwapopi, appeared in Windhoek's High Court for their formal bail application, which was heard by Judge Shafimana Wetele.
Bail applications for Saki Shangala, James Hatwekulipi and Pius Mwatelulo, who chose to give written affidavits, will only be heard on the 8th of November as their lawyers were not ready. Applicant 4, Mike Ngipunya, took to the stand and when questioned testified that since his arrest he has been on suspension in his capacity as Fishco CEO, adding that he knew that he could be arrested after receiving a call from an ACC official that he is a person of interest in the fish rod case. He further testified that he has never attempted to run away from the country or destroy evidence pertaining to the case. Ngipunya's lawyer, Tabang Patela, submitted to the court that his client has now been detained for almost 2 years and there has still been no trial date, asking that the accused be given the opportunity to stand trial. Lawyer representing the state, Cliff Lutibezi, however, opposed bail for Ngipunya on the grounds that he is facing additional charges and that there is a risk of interference with the case. After all applicants have testified, parties will then make submissions, and only after all bail applications have been made, the court will make a ruling on whether or not the 6 will be granted bail. The accused are facing several charges of corruption, fraud and money laundering.
Are you a CMAS member? Did you know that should you need medical treatment, you have access to quality private hospitalization, guaranteed specialist treatment in private hospitals across Namibia with Compliment Gap? Compliment Gap is a complimentary product for CMAS members only, which covers the shortfall between what CMAS pays and private hospitals charge. You and your family have more than 2 million in medical gap cover per year at a very affordable price. That's not all. You also have access to emergency evacuation within Namibia and $10 million international travel cover for those unforeseen events abroad. Take the financial burden off your shoulders, invest in your family's health. SMS GAP to 999 555 and we'll contact you. Terms and conditions apply.
It was a joyous moment for Twaya residents on Monday as they broke down the tents where they have been living for over a year after the shacks burned down in June last year. The residents packed their belongings to finally move into their new homes.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
Sounds of joy and happiness could be heard from as far away as Kwisapmun, as Twaloloka residents were jumping from joy. It has been a long journey of enduring unpleasant weather conditions, danger and discomfort. The list was finally verified by the committee and signed off by the governor before it was delivered on Monday morning. The municipality immediately made transportation available to accompany the first 50 residents to their houses, aided by the security clusters and volunteers.
It was nice. It was nice, and we are happy so that we are no more sleeping in the tent. We are happy. Even to cold, it was better.
I'm feeling so proud, feeling so happy. Yeah. There's no thing that we just the other side we just was very proud. Now we are happy now.
Ndiri me faira mo mashe ndakana ndatere ke o makeni ga special na tanga pe padura shimo tumangurura in me sheshe pe to to muitra pener to to chamunga ni ronga je to tironga pe fotu ete ne ucha muitra mo joshiri muna shano shwana na she pe padura no makaya sheman atuti tangi kunye.
The residents will be moved in groups of 50 until Wednesday to make the processing of moving into the new houses easier.
It's a very good feeling that we are moving our fellow Namibians to the new houses. Yes, yesterday we had some big challenges, but today we are running and things are moving fast. We hope that we actually plan to move all 142 people into the new houses up to Wednesday, but we will definitely conclude as the fire brigade and his team with the assistance of the security cluster. They are really assisting us, and also the public that is involved with helping us with trucks and buckies to move the recipients into their houses. We will conclude definitely today that all the people that are here at Otoya, they will be in their houses by the afternoon. Yes, the feeling is if we can look at the community, we can see that the community, they are really happy. We have some smaller issues which we will also conclude today with the help of the security cluster. But definitely the feeling of the community are very happy, and we are happy that there will be no more people sleeping in the outside, in the wind, in the sandstorms, and that they will be well covered with fresh water, flush toilets, and soon the electricity will be on.
The new houses cost 40,000 Namibian dollars, with beneficiaries required to pay 316 Namibian dollars per month for the next 15 years, which will be administrated by the Walvis Bay municipality. The 153 tents will be returned to the donors for others who need them.
God said. It's interesting to see if we have a look at John 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In other words, what I see drives me to go out what I say. And I believe this is the goal of our Bible school, to teach me to see. And I dare to say what you see must change your heart. Because you cannot move out if you don't have a changed heart. By the word of God, everything is created. God wants you to speak the word so that things can be created. Say to your neighbor, created.
Health Minister Kalumbi Shangula says research on the safety and effectiveness of vaccines for young people has indicated that vaccines for children under the age of 18 are both safe and effective. Shangula says the Health Ministry is now reviewing literature in order to determine a policy decision on whether or not to include the 12 to 17-year-old group in the national vaccine rollout program.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, although fewer children have been infected with COVID-19 than adults, children can be infected with the virus that causes COVID-19, get sick from COVID-19 and spread COVID-19 to others. Namibia's health minister, during a recent interview with Today on One, said that based on research and evidence that shows COVID-19 vaccines for children are safe and effective, the Namibian government is currently examining literature to support its final policy decision on whether minors aged 12 to 17 are eligible for vaccinations.
The trial were conducted among adults, 18 years and above. So there was a time when some elder people were actually excluded from vaccination, but further studies shows that it's actually safe. And we have seen also here in Namibia that we do not have a cap on the age of people who can be vaccinated. We only start from 18 years and above. Now the same countries have gone further to investigate the effectiveness and safety of the vaccines among younger people, notably from 12 years to 17 years. And the evidence is that actually the vaccines are safe also in that cohort. Currently, we are reviewing the literature for policy decision, whether also to include the cohort which is younger than 18 years. So that matter is currently under consideration.
According to the World Health Organization, pregnant women do not seem to be at higher risk of getting COVID-19. However, studies have shown an increased risk of developing severe COVID-19 if they are infected compared to non-pregnant women of a similar age. COVID-19 during pregnancy has also been associated with an increased likelihood of preterm birth. The Minister of Health also urged pregnant women to get vaccinated for the protection of themselves and their children, adding that unvaccinated women have a greater risk of mortality from COVID-19.
Let me start with those people who are pregnant. It's absolutely critical important that they get vaccinated. We have seen that unvaccinated pregnant women, the progression of the disease is rapid and fatal. Many pregnant women will die within a matter of few hours or few days if they have not been vaccinated. So the vaccination to pregnant women is a must. That is for the sake of themselves and the sake of the baby they are carrying.
Shangula further stated that statistics reveals that women seek medical help more frequently than men, as females are more likely to attend health facilities for medical assistance. The health minister expressed concern about the likelihood of a fourth wave, encouraging people to get vaccinated and strengthen public health measures so that regular living and economic activity can continue as it was before the pandemic.
With over 140 layers and 100 chicks, poultry farmer Betty Kavuku and her helpers' hands aren't big enough to run the farm. Apart from struggling to deal with the high cost of chicken feed, her layer cages need proper structuring.
Betty Kabuku's chickens need a new bag of feed every second day. Each bag, she says, costs 430 Namibia dollars.
That's why we are increasing the price for eggs, so that maybe you can get something out of that. Because when we sell our eggs at $65, but we buy a bag of feed at 430. So since I have 144 chickens, they eat a bag of feed in 2 days. Then I have to buy another bag again.
Kabuku's clients now dig a little deeper into their pockets to purchase a tray of eggs. To increase sales, she'd have to double her output, which means more chickens and more feed. That, she says, is currently not possible.
We can be able to breed more layers. So now we are failing. That's why we are just having little number of chickens.
She built her layer cage mainly with sticks, corrugated iron and other light material, which she says isn't good enough, especially at keeping predators out.
Currently now I just have one person who is helping me, a caretaker, just one who is helping me. So we are facing problems here, as you see. We need the help of building materials, and since the feeds are expensive, maybe we can find someone who can meet us halfway.
Betty Kabuku is a teacher by profession based in Bukalo, Zambezi. The high cost of living, she says, drove her to take up poultry farming. Life, according to Kabuku, is a little better, but she faces new hurdles, that of constantly buying expensive chicken feed and a lack of good material for the layer cage.
Hi there, parents. Do you have primary school kids and want them to get extra quality supplementary lessons to up their grades? Then simply switch to One Africa TV's #LearnOn1, where your kids can get maths, English and science lessons every weekday from 9 to 11 a.m. with repeats from 2 to 4 p.m. And thanks to NMH's MyZone, these lessons are 100% Namibian. There's so much to learn with #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
More than ever before, football fans demand unique insight and analysis. The Football Review is much more than a highlights show. Bold, provocative editorial that goes beyond conventional reporting, setting the agenda for football discussion. Champions League, Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, Liga 1 and much more. Want genuine insight with hard-hitting editorial? Need compelling premium football content? The Football Review. Best bar none.
In other leading stories, the board of the Agricultural Bank of Namibia has announced the appointment of the Executive Manager for Credit, Emmanuel Masule, as the acting Chief Executive Officer of the bank from the 1st of November 2021 until the appointment of a substantive CEO who shall commence with duty on the 10th of January 2022. Masule replaces Louis Dutoy, the Chief Financial Officer, whose 3 months as acting CEO came to an end on the 31st of October 2021. The bank says during his acting period, Masule will have all the powers vested in the position of the Chief Executive Officer. The Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform gave an update on the foot and mouth disease as of the 22nd of October 2021. The ministry says mass vaccinations against the usual variant and the new variant began on the 22nd of September 2021, whereby a total of 135,000 and 141,000 cattle were vaccinated respectively in the Zambezi region. This gives a cumulative coverage of 79% of the targeted 170,000 cattle population in Zambezi. A booster vaccination, which is the second dose for all cattle vaccinated with the first dose for the new type O variant, began on the 19th of October, and 3 days later a total of 12,746 cattle were presented as crash pens and vaccinated. The last known case was reported on the 6th of September 2021 at Mukisa village. Animal movement restrictions in the region remain in place in and around strategic entry points. The ministry further said no FMD were detected in the western part of the region since the beginning of the vaccination campaign. Overall, they described the vaccination process as progressing well.
Dink jy sy het nog steeds abandonment issues? Dis moontlik.
Al ons moeite met die sprokies. Ek probeer so hard om my kind gelukkig te maak, maar ek kry dit net nie reg nie.
Probeer net help, dis al.
Jy doen niks sonder bymotiewe nie.
So jy hou van die tattoo?
Nee. Maar jy kan nie liefde koop nie. En beslis nie myne nie.
Jy regular.
Am I that predictable?
Jy is 'n gereelde klant en ons net so 'n manier om koffie te drink.
How do you like your coffee?
Gewoonlik swart sonder suiker.
Does black and bitter only pertain to your coffee preference?
Ek hou maar net van my koffie sonder melk. Hoe gaan ek 'n bal raak slaan na 2 glase wyn?
That was part of my plan.
Wat? Om maar tipsy te maak sodat jy kan wen.
I'm terrible at pata.
Joseph Shifeni is standing by for this evening's Business on One.
Welcome to this evening's edition of Business on One. I'm Joseph Shifeni. Zimbabwean entrepreneur and speaker Sheki Timburwa recently embarked on a business visit to Namibia, where he met with, amongst others, business leaders and President Genkop to synergize the narrative around youth development, transformation of Africa and entrepreneurship.
Personally, I believe in something that is called knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses. When you know your strengths, that means you can leverage over those strengths, and then you can also find people who you can staff or employ to become a fortress of your weaknesses.
Founder of the Energy Plus and mining company Parvaim Gold Holdings, as well as venturing into construction, Shaki Timburwa was this year listed among the Forbes Africa 30 Under 30 class of 2021, which, according to Forbes Africa, those who made the list are change makers for a new COVID-19 induced agenda for social change.
I've put a metric system that I allow myself to employ professional people. If it's mining, I've got a team of geologists, I've got a team of metallurgists, I've got a team of, there are so many professional people that are helping me attain my goal at the end of the day. In return, they get a very decent income, they get a very decent revenue, a very decent salary that they take home so that they can also put food on the table. So it's more of like, I don't love money, but I love the freedom that money brings. And according to me, the biggest flex that you can allow yourself to have as an entrepreneur is to use money to buy you time. What do I mean by that? I'm using the money that God has blessed me with, or the money that I'm creating as an entrepreneur, to be able to give me more time to spend with loved ones, to also do things that can also inspire generations and also touch other people's lives in a positive manner. So I don't have, like right now, I don't have to be in South Africa to run my company. I don't have to be in Mozambique, I don't have to be in Zimbabwe. I'm here in Namibia, but there's a system that is making sure everything is micromanaged.
With the current Dubai Expo underway, Timburwa says he hopes that Africa can one day host its own expo in order for other countries to flock to the African continent and see what Africa has to offer. He is also calling on African countries to unite for a common purpose to make Africa great.
I would say the biggest challenge of Africa is the balkanized system that we have, these borderlines that we have been given, these passports that we have, like we have 56 passports that are different in Africa. Dubai Emirates, for United Arab Emirates, for their progress to started when they formulated what they call the United Arab Emirates. They ceased to compete with each other, but they started complementing each other. You look at America, it's United States of America. If you look at Asia, if you look at India, 1.3 billion with one leader. China, 1.2 billion people with one leader. If it's possible in all these other continents, Africans, we should cease to be hungry of power and do the best we can to serve the citizens that have entrusted us with power positions. Because at the end of the day, you would rather be a tail of an elephant than to be a head of an ant. So what I'm challenging all African countries to say is that let's have a unified system whereby we have a unified educational system, whereby we have a unified medical system, whereby we have a unified defense system. We cease to fight for our country, but we fight for our continent. If something is affecting a person in Namibia, it should affect a person in Zimbabwe. If something is affecting a person in Namibia, it should affect a person who's in Nigeria. We cease to tribalize our relation. We cease to have these boundaries that are affecting our commerce and our interaction and our development. The day we embrace our unity as Africa, that's the day our force, that's the day our potential is going to be formidable.
Shekiti Mburwa continues to take giant strides on the African continent and globally. In 2019, he was listed among 100 most influential young leaders in Africa by Pan-African Youth Leadership. In 2020, he was recognized in Zimbabwe's top 40 most influential leaders by Young Corporate Directors Network of the Institute of Corporate Directors Zimbabwe, with the latest recognition being listed among the Forbes Africa 30 Under 30 class of 2021. Thank you for watching. Join me again next time, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Joseph Parkman was in and out of prison, dealing and doing drugs. Then a drug deal went wrong. Joseph was robbed, handcuffed, and scared straight out of the business. For 6 months, he roamed the streets as a homeless addict. Then one night, in a baseball dugout, Joseph met a stranger who totally changed his life.
I stand in awe of the power of the God who's our creator. And Terry and I sit here on this program, and the Lord speaks to us, and it's the word of knowledge. It's one of the manifestations of the Holy Spirit.
Something not always godly.
Not always, that's right. That's right. Well, there's a lot of negative voices out there, as we know.
Yes, there are.
And
so how do you know when it's God saying, Perry, I want to speak this to you right now?
And sometimes you don't know. And I think you pray over it and you think about it. And sometimes you just, a lot of times I'll just envision, as you and I are talking here today, I may envision that I'm here talking with God. And how am I supposed to address this issue?
Okay? Realize Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is the same for you right now. So let's pray. Let's call on his name and let him do the rest for you. Let's pray.
Now we look at Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. In December 2020, 28-year-old Sima Lumbanawa was one semester away from graduating computer science and was about to become a father when he started to lose vision in his right eye, and in January this year lost vision in both his eyes. Since he became visually impaired, he has since taken up mentoring and motivating youth in the same condition. Katale says his instinct tells him that he will see again. Halvey wishes that he will regain his sight. Thomas says he is deeply touched and inspired by Simalumba's story. Davita says just by hearing him speak, one can tell that he is an intelligent man, wishing him all the strength. While Nafi noted that life is not fair sometimes. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages. for broadcast only on Today on One.
Oranjemund, established in 1936, from which point onward CDM, now Namdeb Diamond Corporation, provided every service, the schooling, infrastructure and entertainment required for the people of the town. The winds of change is blowing over Oranjemund, which is no longer a closed town.
This ship was commandeered by King Zhao III, and he actually sent a knight to Spain to go and fetch some money from investors, because they wanted to go and fetch some spices in India.
When we were kids, the mine delivered milk, bread, and black paper, black plastic bags for your rubbish, and cleaned your garden, did the maintenance of your house. You had furniture already installed in your house.
Pep's got denim for the whole family at unbeatable prices. Like for babies, only $59.99. For girls, at $69.99. Men's for only $169.99. And ladies, just $129.99. Get more in store. Life's better with Pep.
When I started at One Africa a few years ago, a big guy in media told me that many people have read the obituary for One Africa many times. So I'm really proud of One Africa and the people at One Africa for their resilience and to keep going and make do with what they have and keep on delivering for the country. The other thing I'm proud of is as I go around, I meet a lot of people who say, oh, I started out at One Africa. I was there from the beginning. And I'm really proud of One Africa for the impact that it's made in the country through training a lot of people, whether it was as presenters or as production people or in other areas of the business. There's a real legacy of professional people in this industry that passed through One Africa. So I'm really happy and privileged to be part of the team at One Africa today. Happy birthday, One Africa.
Time now for today's sports update with Castro Ulumbu.
Welcome to Sports on One. I am your host, Castro Ulumbu. In their efforts to improve on sports performance, either in administration or on the track, the Namibia and Botswana Sport Commission recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding in order for them to collaborate in addressing some of the areas lacking in the sport fraternity. At the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding held at the Namibia Sports Commission head office in the capital, Joel Matthews, the Namibia Sports Commission's chairperson, said that despite the engagements to enter the MOU taking long, he believes that it is the right time to sign.
The journey have been long to come here today. It's a journey that started back in 2018, and we had several visits between the two counterparts in both countries to be able to discuss the way forward, how we are going to come about to be in a memorandum of understanding as sister institutions. This MOU is seek to formalize the relationship between the two parties to establish, strengthen and sustain cooperation in the field of sport administrations and development in accordance with the relevant legislations that govern both parties. In particular, which is not limited to, in exchange in sport code strengthening, collaborative involvement in sharing of human capital, exchange of management, best practice, high performance and exchange of coaches, referees and umpire and administrations. And we have thought that it's our duties to ensure that we are cascading this effort to implement the MOU at our level. And not only our government, but also at the regional level, the African Union Sport Council Region 5. There is encouragement at that level that as member countries of the Southern African community, we must come together, learn to work together, leverage from each other's skills, so that we are able to ensure that we have a mutual benefit for our members and for whatever purpose we have come into this mutual agreement.
In his remarks, the Botswana National Sport Commission chairperson Marumo Morule assured the NSC that his government in Botswana has fully backed the collaboration between the two countries.
From our government, from other stakeholders, I can confirm that at the Botswana National Sports Commission, we have fully endorsed the signing of this memorandum of understanding, and we will literally hit the ground running because we are fully aware and appreciate what can really come out of it. It is not a secret that we have always envied the performance of Namibian sport. I think the names are too numerous to mention, and as you might be aware, they just ended youth athletics competitions in Nairobi, the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Those are the kind of things that actually propel us to say we can do better. And this memorandum of understanding is a protocol, a tool through which, a vehicle through which we can, both countries, double our efforts.
The MOU signed between the two commissions is a 4-year agreement with an option to extend. Sport codes that are part of the agreement are, amongst others, Paralympic sports, chess, horse racing and wrestling, whilst BNSC will assist in netball, karate, athletics and basketball, as well as volleyball, to name a few. And that is all we had for you tonight. Join us again tomorrow for Sports on One, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Thanks a lot, Castro, for the latest in sports. Time now for the weather forecast. A look at the weather forecast. The Namibia interior partly cloudy and hot to very hot with a few thunder showers in the Zambezi region in places. Windy weather will persist in the interior in places. The coast partly cloudy and cool with fog patches in the morning and the wind light to fresh southwesterly. Now we look at minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond. That is all we have for you. Do join us again next time. From me, Maggie Forciero, and the rest of the team. Till next time, good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
I like rhinos. I like them very much. Future here in this area is depending on the tourism. The future generation, they can see and they can benefit from their own resources. Animals like rhinos, elephants, the big five, you benefit from them and it must be respected. You are not feeding the rhinos, you are not giving them order, so it's a free business. I think two of my sons, which was little bit 5 years old, they were young guys. So they asked me questions. Why are we here? Why are we sleeping here? I told them this is our resources and this is our future.
My first memory of going with my dad is that I learned new things. As I grow up as a man, I see an opportunity in it. So I decided to look for a job pertaining tourism. So that's when I was employed at Palembang. So I decided to go for tour guide studies, because I grew up with the tourism industry, the wildlife, the rhinos and everything, to bring that experience to the tourists. You can see the hyena. The biggest changes, I was employed, getting paid, and also I can now support my family.
It's a cultural thing. It's coming a long way. Even if you go to area like Treverfontein, area was a lot of paintings. You will see rhino engravings on the rocks. That is an indication that the interaction between human, especially the local communities and wildlife, is dating back. That intimacy relationship is coming for a long time.
We are right here now at Palembang, and Palembang is one of the big lodges in the heart of the desert. And as you can see there is Jumbo standing behind me, which shows it's really a tourist area. We do have elephants, lions, but as you can see, the desert is the heart of the rhinos. This is the main breeding area of the rhinos, is what we found here in this desert.
It's the largest free-roaming population of black rhinos that you find outside national parks in the world. It's a population that communities in the Northwest have taken responsibility themselves in managing this population with the structures that government has put in place, more specifically the establishment of conservancies.
These people, before independence, they took it upon themselves and decided that wildlife is our heritage, and through history we've been living with wildlife. And having wildlife in your area is like having a garden.
Because of all these animals, we've got the communities that benefit from all this wildlife, and it's like a triangle that fits into each other. And the communities looked after the wildlife
doing their own thing, and the communities benefit.
So already there were this intergenerational relationship between mankind and wildlife, and that bond is what our people actually wanted to see it continuing.
Very few countries have the wildlife that Namibia has. What is also important is the policies that Namibia has put in place, which also involves communities to be engaged in the management of the wildlife species and also to benefit from the wildlife resources.
Turn conservation into a rural economy, turn conservation into endless opportunities that would actually cater for those young people that have nothing else to do.
If it was not for rhino economy and tourism in this area, it was really difficult for young people to get or find a job.
We are conservation engineers. We make conservation work in an unfenced area, and through that, we want to turn the wildlife into the rural economy that will benefit the rural communities.
So we can see now wildlife is doing very well, the lodges are doing well, and the community is also benefiting. So it takes all three together.
Devastating hit over coronavirus fears. Airline industry is facing its biggest threat to travel since 9/11.
Since March, when COVID-19 hit Namibia, things actually become very difficult. In the first place, all the lodges closed down because of COVID-19. With us, Save the Rhino Trust, we had some donors cutting on their funding. And then we had, in the same time, a poaching case of 2 rhinos that was poaching. We had less boots on the ground, and poachers could actually see. Now it's our chance to go in and do something. So COVID-19 was tough on all of us. Ginger Morning, who is one of our trustees, actually came up with the idea of, why don't we ask you to go to buy some gold for us and make gold bars? And then we sell them for the rhino conservation.
I was fortunate enough to have a chance to have lunch with Clive Johnson, the CEO of B2Gold in Vancouver, Canada. And I looked at Clive and I said, we've got rhinos, you've got gold, let's do something. Let's create a coin or a medallion or a bar using your resource to create a sustainable source of funding for rhino conservation for the future.
There was it. The gold was bought, the bar was made, and I think it was 31st of January that we launched the bars in Windhoek. And suddenly one morning I had an email from my office, from my finance person saying, these people don't have salaries. So I said, oh, what now? So I picked up my phone and I phoned Mark Daw. I said, Mark, I've got this problem. He said, but we've got the fund already ready for you. You just have to apply, put the proposal in.
1,000 ounces of gold can make an enormous difference to the livelihoods of the communities that live up there. We are, in essence, providing income and providing a livelihood to the communities. In the absence of tourism, especially now with COVID-19, even prior to that, when we had such a bad drought, the communities became even more dependent on the natural economy.
The idea is to make this a fund that will last for the next 25, 30 years, or even longer. And a portion of that will be distributed immediately as needed. And in this case, the COVID-19 crisis necessitated us to distribute funds to pay salaries to our people in the field.
The proceeds of the sales from the gold bars will be going towards responsible NGOs. And we've identified Save the Rhino Trust as the key NGO. And IRDNC, one of the first organizations that was in the Northwest, integrated rural development and nature conservation, so that ultimately the funds go to the communities and various aspects of their war on poaching.
To be able to support those hardworking men and women that are always in the front line between the poachers and the rhinos.
If it was not for B2Gold and the golden bars, I think by now we should have been in big trouble.
By extracting the gold, you reinvest it in other renewable resources.
The gold that's coming out from the ground is actually protecting the wildlife that's working on the ground, which is a very good symbol for the others.
I wish this was my bar. This is the 500 gram gold bar. So you'll see on this side you've got the Itindeka Mountains and you've got the mother rhino with her calf. And then on the reverse side, we've got the serial number. You've got the Rand refinery stamp, which is very important. Anywhere in the world, people will recognize the stamp and they will know that this bar contains 99.99% gold.
It is gorgeous.
We wanted to make a biggest contribution. And at Ballaward, we see that as a way of giving back to the community.
Okay, so there you'll see the 500 gram bar.
Very special.
Feel the weight. It's incredible.
This opportunity which presented itself is absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
We're privileged to have this.
This is just absolutely gorgeous, and I think this showcases really what the project is all about.
It's from 24 karat Namibian gold.
I'm looking at these rhinos is put there like Miss World photogenic, I would say.
There are only 1,000 of these gold bars, rhino gold bars, in circulation.
As far as I'm aware, it's the largest single donation of any corporate to the conservation of biodiversity anywhere in Africa.
Therefore, we so much appreciate and would want to continue as a government to work with B2 Gold.
And the fact that it's happening here in Namibia is something that we can all be extremely proud about and very grateful to B2 Gold.
Thanks to having this literal pot of gold through the funding for the Rhino Gold Bar, we're able to step in now and make sure that those trackers are supported, and so are their families and their communities.
We make sure that people sustain their jobs going forward, and who doesn't want gold?
And the B2 Gold Rhino Gold Bar has come in at a really critical time now, particularly with tourism being closed off and those forms of revenue not coming in.
To say we have the biggest rhino population or black rhino population in the world, let it be for the rest of our lives. And it's that heritage that we have, it's our resource that we can all look after and protect.
It's our heritage. And it's also good that other people like B2 Gold are also seeing it that way.
It's actually a very nice link between the investor that buys this gold bar, the rhino tracker in the northwest of Namibia, and the black rhinos. It's an intergenerational thing. The rhino trackers teach their children how to track rhinos, their children get taught, and so it flows down.
This is something that I want my children to have, and that we leave a little bit of a B2 Gold legacy. And if I can be part of that as part of my family, I'd be very proud.
It can also become an inheritance for the generations of my own clan. My children, my grandchildren.
If we can bring that passion over to future generations and to hand that over to my children, and I hope that that same passion for conservation gets migrated over to my kids.
And what we've done together is create a sustainable source of funding that should outlive all of us.
You know, I think as far as B2 Gold is concerned, we couldn't have chosen a better target in which to put our efforts as far as the environmental and conservation pillar is concerned. And I want to stress there that the money that's going towards environment and conservation is actually going towards the people.
Rhino is for all of us, whether you are in Canada, whether you are in Vancouver, whether you are in the US. If you really want to see conservation at play with rural communities, I therefore humbly request each and everyone to join us on our Rhino tour and have a wonderful experience. This is what keeps rhinos on this planet.
I've done rhino trekking experience. It was just amazing walking in that landscape of the Kunene. And as we followed them, we could now find rhinos with the calf. We got the closest distance we could.
It's a warning sign.
And it was just amazing and lovely, something to experience that Namibia can offer. It's something that you have to do in your life.
Just believe in me.
A rare tropical disease, the Zika virus, is spreading rapidly in parts of Latin America and the Caribbean. In March 2015, the Zika virus first surfaced in Brazil and has infected more than 1 million people. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, and the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, have responded swiftly to the Zika crisis. These UN agencies came together to make available a nuclear technology that controls pests by rendering the males infertile with radiation. This is called the Sterile Insect Technique, or SIT. A group of scientists from around the world gathered in Brazil recently to examine SIT's effectiveness. They have concluded that SIT is an efficient, safe, and environmentally friendly technique to control pests and fight diseases such as Zika. Conceived in the early 1930s, the idea behind SIT is a simple one. It involves bringing the insects into a laboratory, rearing them in large numbers, and sterilizing only the males with ionizing radiation such as gamma or X-rays. For SIT to work, millions of sterile male insects must be released into the wild for several months to outnumber the fertile ones.
What's going to happen is that the sterile males are going to seek out the virgin females, they're going to mate, but there's going to be no offspring. So there's going to be reduced population replacement, and you will see that after a while the target population is going to go down.
At the IAEA's Insect Pest Control Laboratory in Siebersdorf, Austria, entomologists have been developing and improving this technique for over 50 years. It's already been used in around 25 countries, mainly to tackle pests, such as fruit flies and tsetse flies. Experts are now developing techniques for the mass rearing of mosquitoes and transferring them to countries affected by Zika, to help them integrate SIT into their pest control programs. Over 100,000 mosquitoes from 3 different species are kept here. Special attention is being given to this one, the Aedes aegypti, which is responsible for spreading the Zika virus.
What we have seen in the past is that Aedes aegypti control with conventional control tools has not been very successful. So we consider this as one additional new tool that could be used to integrate with the conventional methods.
Scientists have created a special environment for the entire life cycle of the mosquito.